I don't want to talk about this. And it's not because I hate the subject matter. It's because we shouldn't have to talk about this at all. This should have never happened. Nothing like this should ever happen. But here we are. Um, if you guys haven't heard, the whole situation with George Floyd. I don't remember the cop's name to save my life. I don't give a fuck about the cop's name because he's a piece of shit that needs to rot in jail for killing a man. All right? And you can say, but the autopsy report, he literally had his knee to George's neck for almost 9 fucking minutes. George fell unconscious at one point. The man kept his knee on his neck. And you might say, but he could talk so he can breathe. That's not how it fucking works. All right? Have you ever been fucking choked before? All right? Like, it's easy for people to make sound and not be able to properly breathe. Just because sound is coming out does not mean that you're properly breathing. And if you watch the video, it sounds like he's fucking struggling when he talks. He's basically wheezing when he talks. And by the way, if you kink shame me for that shit, I'm gonna fucking fight you. Fuck off. Sorry, I had to throw. I need to get better with deflecting. I either get like super angry and like aggressive with shit like this, or I like make jokes of it. Like, those are my only two responses. I'm very bad at it. I'm very sorry. um regardless. Yeah, so that happened. And of course there was the peaceful protest, there were the riots, there was the looting, there was just so much shit. And thankfully, as of now, the man has been arrested. Unfortunately, I am very strong with this theory that the reason why he got arrested isn't because they found him guilty or anything. They arrested him because he was quote unquote starving in his own home, because no delivery driver would deliver to him because they all knew what he fucking did. And he was apparently trying to flee to Florida, but they found out the address he was fleeing to, so he wasn't going to be safe there even if he did arrive. So they, in the end, decided to arrest him, probably because they didn't have enough money to pay 75 fucking cops to fucking stand in front of his house and protect it from the rioters who were rightfully fucking angry. All right? And the main point I want to make with this video isn't about the actual protests, isn't about the actual murder or anything like that. The point I want to make is that if you look at the looters, if you like the people looting from Targets and whatnot, and you say, oh, well, like they're really hurting their point, you're the fucking problem. Because literally my entire Facebook feed is either people saying, hey, like, and this is what happened, okay, so I have two types of friends on Facebook, all right? I have the more liberal friends, and then I have the more conservative leaning friends. The more liberal friends are definitely sharing the people being like, hey, so we were peacefully protesting, like, this is what happened, like, we're pretty sure that cops actually were the ones that, or like an undercover cop was the one that that burned down the auto place or whatnot, and actually started the riots, like throwing rocks at police and all that. And then, of course, there are the other one, like more conservative friends that are looking at only, and I say only, the looting and the actual riots. And I have not heard a peep from them about the peaceful protests that happened preceding it. And unfortunately, most stuff they're getting at is because of mainstream media. Mainstream media doesn't really talk about the actual peaceful protest because it doesn't sell. Violence sells. Riots sell. And on one hand, you know, like, good. People are hearing that. People are angry. But at the same time, they're ignoring the peacefulness. And everyone always says, you're never going to get anywhere without peaceful protests. But You do a peaceful protest and nobody reports it. It's basically like Ferguson, or I want to say the Baltimore riots all over again, is that both of those started very peaceful. Both of those were just marches and whatnot. And then it broke out into riots. Which now that I'm thinking about it, they probably started out as riots in the same way that this one did, where fucking there were undercover cops. And granted, this story was 10 times more sketchy, but I have a feeling it's because the cops just wanted to protect their own. Like the fact that I'm pretty sure the government, or not the government, but the police force didn't actually hire 75 people to stand in front of the killer's house. I'm pretty sure they sent maybe like 10 at the most. And then the rest of them decided to come by and defend one of their own, despite the fact that he was already fired at this point. Which brings me to the point that cop culture is fucking toxic as shit, alright? If you tell me that there are good cops, I'll be like, good. Tell me where they are. All right, where are they? What have they been doing? Do they tell the bad cops to fuck off? Do they tell the bad cops to stop being pieces of shit? Like, do they actually defend the citizens they're supposed to defend? Or do they just stand there, let the bad cops do whatever they did? AKA the 3 other men that were with the killer. Because there were 2 men holding down George Floyd along with the killer. And then there was a 4th man standing to the side. Those 3 men did fucking nothing. I watched the video. They did jack shit. The only thing they did was, we have it under control. He can breathe, he can talk, he can breathe, and all that jazz. Alright? They're just as fucking guilty. And you may say, oh, well, they didn't say anything, but they're not bad cops because they went with the killers. Being silent is siding with the oppressors. Alright? Being complicit, like, they were just complicit in a fucking murder. Like, they watched it. They let it happen. They didn't say anything. They didn't do anything to stop it. They just let it happen. And that's basically the same thing as fucking killing the dude. They're just as bad. Alright? Until there was a reform on the police system, like, all cops are bastards. I'll fucking say it. Alright? All cops are bastards. Unless there's a fucking, like, a reform of the system, unless there's a retraining all the way around the board, like, fuck them. Alright? I know what they're there for. And you know, without them, we probably wouldn't have this great society that we have. And by great, I say that with great sarcasm, because we don't have a great society. We don't. America's slowly falling apart, and I fucking hate it here, and I want to leave because fuck this. Alright? We have a dumbass president that's basically been fighting with Twitter, like, for the last 2 days during this whole thing, who called the protesters thugs. Like, fuck being in this fucking country. This was basically a rant on me saying all that. If you come at me in any of these comments saying all lives matter, I'm not gonna hesitate to block you. Alright? I don't stand for that shit. All lives matter is just deflection. It doesn't mean anything. The only time you ever see all lives matter is when people start saying Black Lives Matter. Granted, if you say all lives matter, regardless, then whatever. But if I look at you and all you ever say is all lives matter as soon as a black man dies or a black woman dies, you're a piece of shit. Alright? Also, if you say blue lives matter, get the fuck out of my fucking face. Alright? They can take off their uniform whenever they fucking want. Black people can't take off their colors, the color of their skin. So, that's my rant. And, yeah. I just had to get all that out there because, I don't want to... I don't want to really be a peacekeeper anymore. I don't want to not be controversial whatsoever. I want to basically put my thoughts out there. That's why I started vlogging, is put my thoughts out there. Controversial or not. I'm going to speak my mind, and if you don't like it, you can leave. Because I'm not going to change my mind on this matter. Not when my friends' lives are at stake. So, Black Lives Matter, and hopefully I'll talk to y'all soon. Stay safe out there.